article notes on a 2015 psychology cognitive dissonance theory article, Miller, MK et al. Today's Friday, 31 January 2025. I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, and this is Cognitive Dissonance Theory, Festinger by Monica K. Miller, Jordan D. Clark, and Elena Gell. And it's 2015, the Blackwell Encyclopedia of Sociology. And I printed this on Tuesday, 28 January 2025. Me, Tanis Coralee Leonhardi. And so my notes, it goes over kind of like the history and progress in psychology regarding cognitive dissonance theory, going back to the work by Festinger in 1957. And I'd say for this one, so the kind of big takeaways I have are, it's mismatch. Cognitive dissonance is essentially a mismatch between thoughts, behaviors, attitudes, values, or beliefs, to use the terms used in here. And so I was like, well, behaviors and thoughts are a pretty good one. So like if I'm running or something like that and I'm thinking something, but then my behavior doesn't match, there might be cognitive dissonance in the sense of they go on to describe it. And I thought this was pretty good as a threat to self-concept. So like we think we are something, but then we do something, we behave a certain way that contradicts that. And so then that's the dissonance, and then there's consonance to bring it back together, like to reduce the cognitive dissonance state. And so I guess I thought, so essentially a takeaway here in terms of like my own understanding. So my own takeaways, it kind of brings up in was it BEM 1965 self-perception theory, and then there's Aronson 1969's a self-concept. And so in reading this was like, okay, so essentially they can think of it as like there's a person and there's a reputation, and people can attack a person's reputation, but that's different than attacking the person's self. And so essentially you can think about like the person thinks about or could think about how they feel about their reputation and then how they feel about themselves. And so essentially cognitive dissonance theory is a mismatch in how one thinks about oneself and what the behaviors actually are. And so this is per this article, technically when I be in a cognitive dissonance state, as my thoughts and communications around a PhD in physics are not the same as taking actions to execute the PhD attempt. So then is that not cognitive mapping when I talk about pursuing a PhD in physics? Rather cognitive dissonance. Perhaps a project to add to my work with Mr. David Beckham, if I can, and that eventually happens. Can I prove if I was or was not in a cognitive dissonance state living with my parents 2019 to 2014 inclusive? And that can even go, because they do mention a little bit about like bodily stuff, and so and behaviors can be physiological, so this could actually be like psychology meets physiology depending on what I would do. So can I develop a formula to make the theory a law, such as cognitive dissonance happens under G, Y, and Z conditions. That way it can be avoided if undesirable, kind of thing. So yeah, I was like, well, if I was, can I make it into a formula, especially if there's some really basic or simple stripped down physiological formula that could just be like, you know, we don't really want to be in that state. So that, like it might be a great formula just to have for like an avoidance stake purpose, utility, so to speak. So there we go. I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, and those are my notes on a 2015 psychology cognitive dissonance theory article, Miller, MK et al. And there's a little bit on there, and then a little bit on that.